It's what if I open up, but then I get betrayed.
Right. So you pointed out something so important. Trust is earned by safety. And whatever you grew up with, that creates your formula for safety. Even if you're in a dysfunctional environment that's not safe, you created a formula for safety. So X plus Y equals Z. So all of us grow up with these templates and we don't understand that we grow up with the templates because the brain is so efficient, just does the thing. So for men who grow up witnessing generations of men who don't open up, who don't trust people, already have a foundational template that not trusting people keeps me safe. So we have to rewrite an entire template that's been written for generations.
Then how do you establish expectations? Because at least for psychotherapy, it's like an hour a week. And a lot of men clients come to me saying that, oh, you're not going to fix me in an hour. No shit. You're right. I'm not fixing you in an hour. There's 168 hours in a week. So how can you expect that 1 hour a week out of 168 hours to fix your life? You're right. What I tell them is I'm just creating a space to review and evaluate the archives of your behaviors and patterns. Are you proud of the way you're showing up? Are you happy? Right? What does success mean to you? So that's what I do in the beginning to establish expectations, because expectations are huge. What do you do in terms of making sure that the client knows what they're getting in for with you and what can they expect with their own process?
With my clients, I love that you said that you give them proper expectations. We have to give them expectations because expectations build trust. Right. And how I build expectations is I actually help them see their formula. So I help them understand why they are the way that they are. I help them understand how they can get to the next step and the expectations of what it's going to take to get to the next step. So I think whenever we lay something out clearly for someone, it helps to build that trust that it's not a cure, but there's a pathway. There's hope. There's something that they can lean on. And there's someone that they can lean on who has been through this before. So that's the space that I try to provide is like, you don't understand the pathway that you're about to go on, but I do, because I've been through this with so many other clients and I have the faith and I can help you and we're going to do it by X, Y, Z. So there's a new formula for them to follow that's different than their old one.
I sense an underlying theme of like unlearning and deconditioning. Right? Like what got you that far? Like it might have worked up until a certain point, like trauma armor. Right? When things happen to you, you have to build up calluses to protect yourself. And there's nothing wrong with trauma armor. You need it to survive because the alternative might be suicide or death. But after a certain duration, you need to take off the trauma armor. But so many people, especially with men, veterans aside, they keep them on. Because as you said, that's a formula that's been instilled in their life.
How do you know anything different, right? How do you take off your armor if you don't know you're not out of the war? And that's the thing. We need to help people understand when they're in the war and when they're not in the war.
How do you do that?
You have to help them recognize what is safe versus what is not safe. And that includes learning a bunch of relational skill sets, understanding boundaries, needs. It's really about a self-discovery journey because the reason why a lot of people suffer is because they don't know how to ask for their own needs to be met. They don't understand themselves enough. They just kind of have this underlying expectation that other people are going to know. And then they do passive aggressive behaviors to try to get their needs met and get mad at the other person and think that they're super toxic. But actually you're not asking for your own needs to be met. And that's what's causing you to, cut people out or block out love that you truly deserve.
So you're saying that people don't mind read, but then without telling them what I need, I can't expect them to deliver what I'm asking for without me asking?
Right.
Yeah, obviously that's a joke, but some of my toughest clients are people with avoidant tendency, which translates to passive aggression.
Anxious people are super passive aggressive also. The stereotypical nice guy does a lot of favors for people, but the favors are underlying contracts that says, oh, I do all this for you, so why didn't they do this for me? I'm never being a nice guy again, but he didn't actually ask for anything. People always say, oh, I shouldn't have to ask. Why not? Why shouldn't you have to ask? Because if you never ask for something, you'll never know if you can get it. But you're not going to get it by doing something that you think that they want.
If you love me, you should automatically know by default everything that I desire. What? I don't read minds. How can I possibly know that, right? And love is effortful. I think I'd love to maybe debunk some of the misbeliefs and fallacies around what love is. And I like to go back to some of the emotional work that you've done great work with in the past years. I think America or Western culture have this delusion that love is effortless. Like true love should require zero effort, right? Love at first sight, predestined soulmates, that I think is just a horrible idea, because soulmates indicate that there's no ownership. You just have to live your life and something magically happens. If there's predestined other half, that takes away your responsibility, right? So I think love is effortful. It's in proactive and active extensions of who you are, despite the circumstances. Just like I don't believe in unconditional love. Love is love. Who cares if it's conditional? Because that's effortful. But I think unconditional love can be redefined as despite the conditions at hand or circumstances, you're still choosing to be loving. Any thoughts there?
Yeah, I love how you said you don't believe in soulmates because it absolves the person of responsibility or effort. I've never seen it that way. But when you say that, it does make a lot of sense. And I think that's also what some people see marriage contracts as. They do a lot of work up until they get engaged or get married. And then once they're in it, they're like, well, you should love me no matter what. But who says? Because I didn't love you no matter what actually before we got married, right? There were standards, there were expectations that we both did before that. And I think that people let down their effort when they get married or when they think that someone's their soulmate and they stop trying, like you said. But loving someone is continuous effort of upholding the standard for you and for them.
Oh, beautifully said. Thank you for discovering more with us this week. If you enjoyed watching this video, check out the full-length episode at one of the windows that pops up. And as always, see you again in next week's train of Discover More. Thank you for tuning in.